What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and today, the Superman spoiler-filled discussion that we are going to have because the movie has finally came out. It feels like we've been waiting for this all our lives, and without a doubt, cannot wait to dive in and talk about this. So first things first, make sure you go ahead, like, subscribe, share, follow Hops Geek News anywhere you get your podcast or social media. Go ahead and leave a review. All that good stuff on YouTube. If you're watching there, please go ahead, subscribe, hit notifications, never miss an episode. We haven't done a live in a while, but we got to change that. And then if you would like to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. We like to go into what we're reading or watching. We talk about some news typically, and then we go into the Superman talk. However, this week, we do have a little bit of news. Never mind. I was going to say we didn't get much news, but don't worry. We feature a beer of the week, which this week is Calusa Brewing's Happy Colors from there in Florida. Lauren's one of her favorite breweries aside from Sideward. She always loves this, and I took it from her, I guess, on accident when we were in Asheville last week together, which was a pretty fun time. But I chose it just because the happy colors, man. It's got red, green, blue, all that good stuff on the can. Can't wait to talk about this. Lauren, what more say you about this delicious beer?
I'm drinking it too. Obviously we like to tie it to what we're talking about. So one, you could tie it. Actually, Matt, you mentioned this right before we started recording. The first time Superman was on TV, he was in black and white, and now he is in very much so happy colors, especially in this movie. It was very colorful, very beautiful. However, Calusa Brewing is based on the Calusa Native Americans, which were the obvious original Americans, which is further proof that we are all immigrants in this land except for
Oh,
Native
yes.
Americans. And so here today we are celebrating one of the most infamous immigrants to America ever, as he grew up in Smallville, Kansas, but he was born on the planet of Krypton.
You know, it's rather hilarious that these people I feel like that we're being tested. I feel like they're being tested just to see how much they will really actually follow along with in their simple brains. You know, if, oh, Superman's gone woke. Oh man, he's gone woke. Yeah, they're talking about immigration and brother,
He was
sister.
woke before woke was a thing.
First and foremost, Superman debuted Action Comics 1938, and he was fighting fascism then. And there's this thing on TikTok where I was actually talking about this, and somebody was like, leave politics out of comics. I just want to come to comics and get away from politics. And so then I proceeded to be like, well, let's go on a little teaching, because you have the X-Men. Doesn't get more political in comic books than that. Captain America debuted fighting Hitler. Fun fact, in case you...
Well, a lot of these characters were created as an escape from World War II, in
Yeah.
which, yeah,
And
fighting
the
Nazis.
70s and 80s were a massive political
It was
revolution in
civil
comic books.
rights, and that's when,
Yeah.
that's when X-Men
So,
came out. Yeah.
you know, if you sit there and like, I go to comic books to get away from politics, buddy, I don't think you're really reading comic books, and neither are any of these people that pretend to go on there. So
They're just reading
anything
Jeff the Shark
that
that
I
has
mean,
no actual lines.
but even then, I'm sure there's. But anyways, but
No,
let's
it's nothing against Jeff the Shark. He's
I love
adorable
Jeff
and
the Shark,
hilarious.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, People just, they are ridiculous. We're going to dive into Superman soon, but let's talk about what we've been reading or watching first. I have a laundry list. So, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and talk about what you first have been reading?
So last week I reviewed Sisterhood, which is a Hyde Street story. That was
So good.
actually, yeah, you did the video review on that one. And that was fantastic. So this is starting a run. It's not a standalone. And if you've been following any of the Ghost Machine comics from Hyde Street, then you will not be surprised at how phenomenal this story is. It's two young girls who went through some trauma when they were young. They're in college and they're going through some more trauma, and you never know when you're going to step onto Hyde Street and where some spooky stuff is going to happen. And that's exactly what's going on. Very spooky, very gorgeous art.
Yeah, it
Great
was really cool.
story. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you love any sort of comic book, there's something in Ghost Machine for you. Whether you want to read military comics, family comics, happy-go-lucky comics to escape the real world,
Yeah,
or dark, creepy ass stuff. Like there is literally something for everybody in Ghost Machine.
there is.
My other comic I did was Laura Kinney Wolverine.
Oh
I've been
yeah.
talking about this for a while. Last issue, she had broken from in true Wolverine fashion, from some mind control stuff. But the mind control stuff is over, but still lingering with her. And so this
Ah,
issue, not too much happened, but it connected a lot of dots and came full circle. So it really like connected like the first issue and some other issues, as well as a past run of Laura Kinney that I read that I didn't love that run, but I like that they're still recognizing it in this, because I feel like when you do that, you're fixing that run to make it better. If that makes sense.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
But no, Laura Kinney's been great. And if anybody out there is like really likes Wolverine comics, but they're sleeping on this because, oh, she's younger, oh, she's a girl, whatever means, like, she is 100% her father's daughter. She's just a less emotionally constipated. And she plays better with others, which gives us some phenomenal team ups. And Wolverine does have phenomenal team ups, but he's always reluctant to do them, which she is a
Right.
little, but not as much. And like Luke Cage showed up in this, and it was
Oh,
like, he's still mayor, and that worked to her benefit that she knows the mayor, and so she'll do anything for mutants. So I'm standing on this. Like, if you like Wolverine comics, give this a chance, because Laura Kinney, a lot of these younger mutants are the future, but she's so good. And the art is so phenomenal because they don't over sexualize her. I think because it's drawn by a woman. She's still awesome and sexy and badass, but the sexy is not there for sex appeal. The sexy is there to showcase how badass she is.
yeah, I really like that because, obviously there is sometimes when you get women in comic books, being drawn, they are
Flash
always
those ass.
barely wearing any clothes, or they're very busty, or like, yeah, you said their ass is hanging out, or, drawn a certain way. Right. And so you don't have to do that if you're making a really good character, which actually kind of leads into one of the comics I did read this week. Because she's a very badass character. It's Supergirl. Number 3 is out from Sophie Campbell, and that's the DC All In series. And now this one is a very much not as serious as the other ones. However, there is a lot to take away from it, and I think it's very relevant. It's more or less like not for me. I think this is more geared to a younger crowd or different crowd, right? Because Supergirl, there's friendship, has a big theme friendship between Lena and the bad guy in this, and then there's just a lot of that themes of feeling that loneliness, going back to your hometown and finding yourself, and a lot of that is throughout this comic book, and it's done very well. Sophie Campbell does everything, so it's super super good. I highly recommend people check that out. But she is a strong, badass character, and she's taking care of business, and they're working together, and it kind of is setting up in the next big arc, big villain. Um, and the bad guy doesn't understand why everybody's still cheering for Supergirl in this, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. But so you're right. I really enjoy when they're kind of written that way. But I did read some more comics. Aquaman issue 7. This is the penultimate issue, if you will, by Jeremy Adams, Rex Locust, Dave Sharp, Michael Scheffler, before he faces off against Dagon. And it's still phenomenal. Very well drawn. This is just colorful. There's so much color in this. It just throws itself off the page. But this sets you up. Like, Arthur is this badass. However, there was a big twist in this issue that I did not see coming. And so you go from you're ready, you're in fight mode. Arthur, beat his ass. And then you go to, oh man, like it turns on a dime, and there's a really heartbreaking scene that really pulls at the heartstrings. And I don't want to give it away for anybody who hasn't read it yet, but it was it took me off guard, because like I said, you go from one extreme to the next, and then you get mad again by the end of it. So
He
really,
should have,
yeah,
like, Jeremy Adams should have written more Supernatural episodes. Like, he
he's
was just so
phenomenal.
good. And yeah, just hearing that, like, with the twists and then the heartstrings, it's if Supernatural ever comes back, we need to get a petition going that Jeremy Adams gets to write more episodes.
He should, honestly,
He
because he's
absolutely
so
should.
good at
Yes.
storytelling, and it's evident, you still got the adventure aspect of what this overall run is so far, this arc. But again, the way he's weaving between emotions and gets you fired up just to bring you down, and then it gets you fired up in a different way. Oh, and then just what Rex and Michael are doing with the artwork, it's so good, so
Any
good.
comics with oceans seem to kill the artwork. It's
They
like you
really
can't
do.
not have it be beautiful. Like,
It
even
is.
when
There's
we
so
did
much
Frank
color.
Martin, when he did the polar one that was
Oh, yeah,
underwater,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was phenomenal. Like, Namor comics are always so gorgeous. Like,
I wonder if it's because they feel like they can showcase more in the water, because there is a lot of different colors and things. I don't know. I'm
well, I
I'm
mean,
very curious to see why that is, because it could also be hard to draw fluidity in the water, and like their motions and their movements. And this is
so they use the coral and
really,
everything
yeah.
and sea animals to go with it. I think it's like we've never explored the whole ocean, so they have that mystery aspect, and
Oh
I think they
yeah,
sometimes play into that. And anyone who's ever snorkeled, like, I mean, it's gorgeous. It's like,
it is.
ugh, I love
The
snorkeling.
ocean's beautiful, man. Stop killing the oceans.
Seriously,
But
check your sunscreen. If it's got those nasty chemicals, throw it in the garbage. Don't even use it at the
well, yeah,
pool.
sunscreen's
Watch
killing a lot of the
Nemo.
coral reefs.
All drains lead to the ocean.
They do, and, fertilizers are also what's
Don't
causing a lot
use
of the red tide
fertilizer
and
either.
stuff, man.
Yep.
So that's anyways, I also read Batman.
This
We've
is a
turned
very
this
get on
into
your
a
soapbox episode.
I know. Preaching. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice issue 1. Now, this is a continuation of the Gotham by Gaslight series. However, this is a Western. It's by Andy Diggle,
Ooh.
Leandro Fernandez, Matt Hollingsworth, Simon Boland. Yes, we are in the Western era. We get to see a very creepy Martian Manhunter, a very badass Wonder Woman,
Does
and
he
then
have
we
a
have a
cowboy hat on?
Green Lantern shows up in his cowboy boots, but Superman is in a domino mask. He's got cowboy boots on. He is out there rough and tough, brother. But it's really fun. It is super good. It's a Western style Justice League story is super fun. And that's what this one is. It's
When this
you
just
got
kicked
some
off.
bad guys. Yeah,
Oh.
this particular kicked off the Batman Gotham by Gaslight was about Batman, and they were finding the mystery of the Kryptonian, basically, which led into this. Now, this is the old Western town of Smallville that Clark's protecting. He's the sheriff, but then obviously he becomes Superman, and you have Lex Luthor who sends Harley Quinn and his Suicide Squad out there after, to rob the town essentially. And that's when Superman gets in, and then stuff goes from there. But it's really funny. A lot of the dialogue is really fun. I love a good Western, and this is a good Western as far as superheroes go. I really enjoyed this issue. And aside from that, Superman Treasury issue 25, we haven't had a Treasury in DC Comics for about 10 years now. So Dan Jurgens, Cade Philippi, Brett Breeding, Dave Sharp, Bruno Redondo. It's 80 pages of Superman, and it's a very cool story showcasing. It's massive. It's like large, so it's supposed to be big. It's a bigger issue. There's a lot of really cool scenes of just Superman flying high, like these really cool action shots of Superman, and they're essentially battling Maxima and Bizarro, or not Bizarro. It's Cyborg Superman, and so she's mad because Superman had a baby with a human, and she wanted Superman's babies. And so she's come to Earth, and
Ah.
there's a really beautiful shot of the whole Justice League crew together. And it's just fun. It's just a beautiful comic book, an homage to Superman, a really good story. And the last comic that I read this week was Fantastic Four issue 1 by Ryan North, Humberto
It was a lot of
Ramos.
fun.
Oh, you read it? Yes.
I
Victor
did.
Olazabal, Travis Lanham. So why don't you tell us a little about this, since I've been rambling?
So this one I actually screenshotted apart from the back of the comic because this issue of Fantastic Four, it's also issue number 34 of the story that they
Yes.
started in 2022. And it is part of the issue. It's also, it says with our previous issue number 1 and issue number 727 of the story that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee actually started back in
Yeah.
1961. So that's
I'm
at the
glad
end of
you
the
caught that,
comic.
because I put that in my review, that there was this end of the comic. It wasn't actually issue 1, it's a continuation. I thought that was wicked cool.
Well, especially because when it first started, like they put that at the end of the comic, so you don't realize that. But when it started, there's all this under doom going on, and if you've read, like, not any Marvel comic in the last 6 months, but a lot of them are under doom, whether it's X
Yeah,
Factor,
we're doing this
there's
one
all
world
sorts
under
of
Doom.
things, yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm just thinking we're playing on that, and then Doom basically sends all 4 Fantastic Four members to different timelines, but they have protocol for what they're going to do if that
Yeah,
happens.
the Forever Stone.
But when they get to one of the characters, she can't. I ruined it because I said she. Fucking pronouns.
Oh, damn it. Yes, she's too far in the future that the Earth is now
Yes,
roasted
and
and
she
gone, and the
can't
oceans are gone. It's
find it.
not there.
Yes. So I'm like, "Wow, what is she gonna do next?" And I'm thinking it's gonna be solved in this issue, and of course it's not. But
I
how
thought
they
it was too.
all go for the Forever Stone and where they all get sent was really kinda cool. The artwork was beautiful. It was fun to get to see them all in these very different time
Johnny
zones.
Blaze with his handlebar stash.
Well, in Johnny Blaze too, I feel like he's so known for being a goofball in, like, pop
Mhm.
culture sense that we never give him credit for being intelligent, and honestly, he hangs
Yeah.
around with one of the smartest guys ever, so clearly he's picking up stuff,
Pick
and what
something up.
he
Yeah.
figured out and did was very, very clever.
Yeah,
So, I liked it.
that sequence, I don't wanna really spoil it, because it's really well that was the most suspenseful to me, because
Mhm.
you're reading it, he's gonna be fine, but while it's happening, I felt my walls
Well,
kind of closing in a little bit,
I was gonna say,
and
he's gonna be
so
fine, but about a year ago, we did all watch Johnny Storm violently get ripped to pieces with his skin pulled off, so You never know
Very
if Johnny
true.
Storm will
You're
actually be
you're
okay.
right. I was thinking, I was like, "Wait a second." In my head initially, because 'cause I'm thinking,
I watched
the
your
next
gears
Fantastic
spinning.
Four, I was thinking Stranger Things. I was like, "Lauren, that's about 7 years ago at this point because we haven't had a
Mm,
Stranger." Because I was thinking but then I
Eddie, yeah.
realized, duh, Chris
Well,
Evans came
Captain
back.
or yeah, Wolverine and Deadpool, Deadpool and
Oh
Wolverine,
my
whatever.
gosh. Shout out to our Patreon Gibson because we were watching the movie this weekend and Gibson off rip out of memory quoted that entire sequence of
The
and it
cinnamon
was a
ring, the whole thing?
yes,
Oh
because
my
at first
gosh.
I was so confused what was happening and he off rip did it and it was amazing. Dude, it was
I'm
hilarious.
I'm upset I missed that now.
Yeah, it was so good. But
He
this
said
this
the
comic
whole
was
thing
good.
like,
Yeah, he off
"Effort
rip
her
like
charred
dropped it
husk
out
of
there.
a."
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you can quote
Amazing.
me. It was good. And now moving on, I did watch two movies this week aside from Superman, right? I did watch Warfare, which is an A24 film. It was based on a true story written by a guy, their actual thing, who were in combat, right? It's something always funny about American war movies because we go into these countries and then we make a movie about them. But this movie was done. It's a very stacked cast, a couple Marvel. So the new Johnny Storm is in it. Adam Warlock is in it, for example. Michael Gandolfini's in it. And it's got a stacked cast. The sound design is really, really well done. And there was a couple, like, I got caught off guard. And then, my first deployment was carrying flag draped caskets and
Mhm.
sending them back home to the States. So while I was never out there actually doing what these guys were doing, it still did invoke some memories of things that I have done. And it played into that, which I thought was really interesting. It's a really well done movie, well acted. It's not very long, hour and a half, get in, get out. So I thought that was a good movie. And then Clown in a Cornfield. So this is a indie kind of film. And so it's about a doctor and his daughter. They move to this very small town and they
With
it's a very
cornfields.
small town. And they have a annual celebration essentially where they celebrate clowns and this other stuff.
Aye,
And
aye,
it's
aye.
about
Who does
clowns
that?
killing the kids. The clowns are killing the kids, that kind of thing. I can't talk really more without giving away the twists and stuff in the movie, but it was a fun hour and a half long
It's a
slasher
fun
flick.
movie with clowns killing children?
It yes. It was an hour and a half long. Yes. Honestly, I could see it wasn't vulgar and it wasn't anything. So I could see Brielle probably enjoying this movie just
Mm.
because it wasn't scary. It was just your run of the mill, funny slasher type film. And it was very self aware and it had some cool sequences in it. And the twist was pretty cool as well. And the way it ended was funny as hell. And I liked this movie. I did. It had a very short theatrical run. It was really good. I enjoyed it. So I watched those two movies. I have a couple others I want to watch, and then of course Superman that we're going to get to here soon. So, what did you watch?
The only thing I've actually watched in the last week, other than Captain America, because it was 4th of July and Independence Day.
And we watched
Um,
Ironheart together.
oh yes, and Ironheart. But that episode should have already dropped where we've given all our feelings and thoughts and
Yes.
all that fun stuff. So Time Cut. So speaking of Brielle, anybody
Oh
who's new
yeah.
to us, Brielle is my almost 13-year-old who loves horror. And so she recommended this movie on Netflix. I have to say it wasn't the best. It is a time traveling horror movie, but it didn't really feel very horror. So if you like Totally Killer, which was fantastic, where the girl goes back to like,
This
back.
movie was made before Totally Killer, which is hilarious. I was explaining this to Brielle.
Oh, that's where Brielle got the info from then. So
Yeah.
she was telling us that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
See, I
that's
passed
funny.
some knowledge on. She
I
listens
didn't
to
know
me.
you guys had you're
Yeah,
the
we
reason
were
we had to
talking
watch this
about this.
movie.
You've been replaced.
It wasn't
That's
that good though.
nice.
So
It
it's
wasn't.
the
No, Totally Killer is way better.
Yes. So this girl, it's her sister died, and basically she exists because when her sister was murdered, the parents then did IVF and everything to have this girl, and she feels like she's always lived in the shadow of her sister who was murdered, which seems that's
Okay.
understandable. So
Yeah.
she accidentally time travels back to 2003. And here's one of my big issues. I was I turned 20 in the year
God, that was tough
2003.
seeing 2003 because I was having flashbacks.
Outside of the music, though, the fashion choices were not accurate. There was a
No, I
couple
would
things
definitely agree.
Brielle kept asking me, she's like, "Did you guys actually wear that?" I'm like, "No,
No,
no one wore that." And then I
I
did
was
like
in
that they had the
baggy
store
jeans and
called
hoodies.
well, you were a boy, sure. But, it was all low-rise jeans. We did wear belts
Yeah,
over shirts. I don't know why we did that.
you also had
The
the
Uggs, I
camis
feel
underneath
like, are
everything.
still around. Oh, I did say something to Brielle. I'm like, "You literally stole that tank top out of my closet, like, 6 months
Yeah,
ago."
there was
One of
like
them,
the big
like
thing was my ex-girlfriend actually would always wear like a Hollister or Abercrombie half
yeah.
zip up, and she'd have a cami underneath. That was, and then she wore the Uggs with the pant. Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, I still have that well, it's not in my closet anymore. Brielle has stolen it, but I still have, like, those clothes from 2003 that she has since stolen, but some of it was,
Whoa.
like, excessive. Like, no, nobody wore rainbow things or whatever, and we were still
No,
getting dress coded in 2003, but I guess in the movies, they never were.
no, I wasn't dress coded. Interesting.
Anyways, oh, I spent many a day in internal suspension for my attire.
Oh,
So,
interesting. Huh.
this movie one of the times was for flip-flops, like, come on, man.
In Florida, South Florida.
We weren't allowed to have strapless shoes. And I had dropped a rifle on my foot the day before, my foot was all swollen, so I wore, like, slip-ons with very, like,
See, that's
flare
crazy to
jeans
me.
to cover the back.
It was the Wild West for in Massachusetts. There was no, they didn't care. We could
They
wear
also
hats,
back
all
then,
that stuff.
they didn't sell shorts for girls that weren't, like, really short or made you look
Mhm.
like a grandma, and we had to have fingertip length shorts, so I got sent to eternal suspension for shorts one time.
Harper has to do that in Virginia, actually.
That's ridiculous. She's
Yeah,
6!
she's tall. The problem is we can't find shorts and stuff long enough because she's so
Right.
effing tall.
Well,
But
she's 6
yeah,
and
they
taller
do
than
have
my 8-year-old, yeah.
yeah, they do have
That's
that here actually, which is funny.
anyways, this movie is a very good light-hearted horror movie. If your kid wants to watch horror and you're concerned about showing them something that's
It's
too
a good one,
graphic or
yeah.
too whatever, this is a good introduction to horror, I feel like.
Put on Clown in a Cornfield.
I don't know, I haven't seen that one.
No,
That's
it
all I
was
got.
definitely not as good as Totally Killer. So let's go into some news. Now, Kevin Smith is coming back to comic books with a Daredevil Green Arrow crossover. It's part of the big Batman Deadpool crossover that we're getting at the end of the year.
And he's written for
Or-
both. So are
He
these
did.
gonna
He
be
has
the
written
ones
both.
he wrote, I wonder?
No, I think he's writing a fresh story, a fresh little story. It's
Ah,
going to be
okay.
fresh. Yeah, and I'm excited. So yeah, there's another big news. Well, this is actually two big things. Why don't you start us off here? Because I have a follow up to this one.
So Vought Rising is gonna start filming next month, according to Jensen Ackles. In this show, so this is The Boys, it's a prequel for The Boys, and they will be
Storefront,
doing the
huh?
origin of Soldier Boy as well as Storefront, I just added that autocorrect. And you know what?
Storefront. What?
I'm glad that, Stormfront is a Nazi group, so I'm glad that my iPad was like, "You probably
Your
didn't mean
iPad said not
Stormfront. We're gonna
today.
change that to Storefront." And, it's going to be a 1950s murder mystery, so obviously anything, that's The Boys and Jensen Ackles, I'm all for.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, Now that means I would like to let you know that the final season of The Boys has wrapped up filming. I saw some of the, Eric Kripke, for example, posted something on social media being like, it's really weird. This is the final day on set. This is all going to get torn down, blah, blah, blah. This is a place that we've, spent a lot of time and things. So the final season's done. It's,
Yeah.
it's coming. It's a coming. And with that, we're right on the doorstep of San Diego Comic-Con, a sensitive subject here for me. However, there's a lot of news that is being withheld. So in the next couple of weeks, end of July, expect a lot of news. I'm hoping a lot of good DC news. Marvel's not going to be there, but DC will be at Hall H. And then I expect we might get some trailers of some good stuff. And then who knows what other, Universal might be doing something and things like that. So who knows? A
I
lot of
think we'll
stuff
get
coming down
Marvel
there.
news in, New York with, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really do.
Uh, you're holding on to that one, huh?
I am, and it is at first I was, like, delusional, but you know what? Deadpool and Wolverine happened, and it makes sense. Why else are
Listen,
you gonna put all of them
anything is
together?
possible.
Yeah, you got Melinda
Anything.
May, you got Daisy, you got Agent Coulson all going to New York Comic Con together. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Uh, That's true. That's true.
I wish
So
if I was gonna be there, I would 100% go to whatever panel they were gonna show up at.
now, let's go on and take a quick commercial break and come right back where we're going to spoil the shit out of Superman, man. BRB. We're back. We're flying high. up
Guess
here,
who's back?
look in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope. It's spoiler-filled Superman action. So if you have not seen the film yet, you can listen if you want. And, you know, we're going to go into it.
I
So
wouldn't listen.
Lauren,
I would leave and
off
come
rip.
back.
By the way, I got my crypto popcorn bucket. This is what
Adorable.
$40 gets you.
Oh shit.
It didn't, no, and
He
actually,
is
no,
really
into
cute
Cinemark.
though.
It came with a giant tub. Like, this is a big tub of popcorn. And so I didn't really eat much of the popcorn, but they didn't put the popcorn here, which I actually like. And I can use it maybe, as a pen holder at work if I really wanted to. It's got this
Oh.
thing, but crypto, I love this because crypto is one of my favorite parts of the film. And so it's adorable. It doesn't make noise or anything, but it's freaking sick. And I'm not going to spend $80 on Galactus. So at least I got something from the summer blockbusters. Now, with that said, what are your initial thoughts before the film?
Before the film?
Or
Like,
of the
how did I
film?
feel
Jeez.
going into it?
What
Oh,
did you? I know that this was like your most anticipated. So why don't you go ahead? How did
yes.
did it live
Outside
up
of
to the hype for
Daredevil.
you?
Daredevil was my most anticipated. This movie surpassed my expectations. This was hands down to me the best DC movie I've ever seen. I don't want to compare him to
Wow.
Henry Cavill because they're so different in their portrayals. And Henry Cavill could have the potential to be on my list, and this guy's a little young. So putting that aside, he did a phenomenal job. The story was so good and so solid that you sometimes forgot you were watching a superhero movie, because I feel like a lot of times Superman is so ingrained in, like, this is a comic book movie and this is clearly fictional, and like we're just going to have these bad guys do this and do that, and like I feel like the characters were flushed, everything made sense. I think the quick catch up at the beginning was fantastic because no one
Yeah.
needs to see Uncle Ben die again. Nobody needs to see Krypton explode again. Nobody needs to see Martha Wayne's pearls go everywhere. James Gunn understands that even the person who's never read a comic book in their life now knows Krypton exploded, knows that Jor-El and Lara sent
There's just some things that
Superman
we
first.
all are ingrained in pop culture that we know.
And I appreciate that. I feel like they're respecting the fact that we are knowledgeable enough to just like catch us up real quick and let's get to the story. And I also like,
Agreed.
with Henry Cavill, he became Superman so fast. And it's like, people gave him shit because, oh, he killed Zod. He didn't have training. So this, we're like jumping ahead. So we know that he's done some training. We know that he's, been practicing at the
But he's still
Fortress of
relatively new at
Solitude.
the same time, I feel like,
Yes. Yeah. And he just got his ass kicked for the first time, which is very humbling. But the Lex was
Yeah.
okay. I already said my initial thoughts. I'm going to stop because I have a lot more opinions. So what were your
All
initial
right.
thoughts?
This is my anticipated right here. The trailer made me feel things going into it. We know that I'm a DC guy through and through, but I've never been a Superman guy. I felt things that a superhero movie has not made me feel in some time. And even to the point where Carrie turned to me and she goes, "This is better than anything." And I don't want to make this a Marvel versus DC things. My point being with this sentence is that this is how you know it was good for general audiences. She turns to me and says, "This is better than any Marvel movie I've seen lately," because she's very much, we're in the bubble. Carrie, my wife, is very much like a casual. She's a casual superhero film fan. She doesn't live and breathe this stuff like we do. And she said, and this is big because she doesn't like to go to the movie theaters twice. She goes, "I want to go to the theater and see this again," which is huge. And because that's not who she is. She does not do that. It was special, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was super special, and it lived up to everything I wanted. And there was a lot. So what I really loved about this for the Amazon preview, it made you feel, special, hey,
It was like a
it's like our
midnight
own little
movie again.
premiere. Yeah. It gave
Like
you
nobody
that
left for the
feeling
end
of a
credit
minute.
scene. I'm used to
Yeah.
walking out after the end credit scene and being like one of a handful of people. Like this was, everybody was still in there.
The movie was buzzing too. Like the movie theater, the lobby was buzzing and it was alive. There was lines for the popcorn, right?
Slammed.
It was nice because I don't remember, it hasn't felt like that in a movie theater in a while. And I always talk about Dark Knight being the last great movie experience I've had besides maybe Endgame, but like a true midnight release. And you're right, that's what it felt like. And it captured that essence. And yeah, that's fair. And then so going in there, there was no trailers either. You got right to the movie.
Lovely. We watched some weird Cat in the Hat trailer.
Ew,
you didn't get that? We got a Cat in the Hat
No?
trailer, and then it was, Superman and friends saying, like, "Welcome and joy," and we're like, "What? We don't have to watch 20 minutes of trailers?" And, of course, people were coming in late because they assumed they
Well,
did.
that's we thought it was. So we went to the brewery. We were with our friends Chris, his wife Hannah, and their son, and we were at the brewery like right around the corner. And I was like, "Hey guys, what if they don't play trailers because this is a special?" I had the weird
Oh, thank God you did.
inkling. Oh, in my mind, I'm like, "Why don't we go and So we got there at like 6:50 or whatever. The showtime was 7. And I'm glad we did because I walked in. They went to go sit down. The line was long. Carrie surprised me with the crypto. And as we walk
Aw.
in, that's when the words are up on the screen. I was like, oh shit, there were no trailers. Thank God. Because we were going to get there 15 minutes after and we would have
It
missed
started at
part of the
7:05.
movie, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It jumped right into it. I like that. And then it jumps into the scene that we've been seeing. He's on the
Mhm.
snow, and that's after him getting his ass beat, and crypto comes. I like that because, and then that to me set up, oh, we don't know anything that's going to happen in this movie because that is the scene that we've been seeing with the fortune, like the first 5 minutes or so. There's a couple other scenes that happen, but by and large, we didn't know what was going to happen. We hadn't seen anything in the trailer. That's how movie trailers should also be, because any trailer I've seen hasn't shown anything aside from the big moments, like Lex
I only
walking
watched the
into there.
first trailer.
Well, that was pretty much rehashed clips of that. And we knew Guy Gardner and stuff. So let's start with some things that maybe you didn't necessarily like. Was there anything about this film that you wish they did not do?
Um, I honestly can't think of anything that I,
There
like, had
is.
an issue with. I really don't.
I will say I was surprised when they actually Lex shot that dude in the head.
Oh my gosh. My jaw dropped. I feel like my jaw was open for a few minutes, but that made it a phenomenal scene though, because, like, that guy was his name was Malik, I believe.
Yes.
He was such a sweet guy and, like, not to sound like Homelander, but, like, he's the real hero. Like, he even said to Superman, "Don't tell him anything. I don't have any family. Like, nobody's gonna miss me." Like, that was a
Yeah.
hard scene, and it showed we're so used to, Lex being almost comical at times to where
Yeah.
he's not that scary, and I feel like that made this specific Lex just brutal.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Cause we thought, oh, it's PG
I didn't
13.
think
They're
he
not
was
going to
gonna
go
die.
there.
They
Right. I
said
didn't
shit a
think
lot. They really
they
utilized
did
that.
shit. And there was like bitch twice or something like that. They leaned
It's
into
just
PG
funny the
13.
difference between PG and R is, like, they're like, "Well, this word we can say," and they
Yeah.
used it as much as they could.
And but that scene really made my jaw drop too because I didn't think they were going to go there, and they didn't do an up close, obviously, and like no blood or anything, but they
Yeah.
zoomed out and he shot him in the head, and I was just like, damn,
Yeah.
wow, okay, this is what we're doing, and it happens like halfway
That
through
was
the movie.
that was a pivotal moment though because it made the one guy whose name at first I was like, "Is
Element
this a
Man.
Martian Manhunter?" Like, I didn't know who that was. I wasn't familiar with
So
that
they asked it
character.
to baby. No, it's Element Man.
Well, yeah, I know that now, but, like, at first, when we first saw him and they were putting him in the cage with him, I
Oh,
didn't
right,
know
right,
who that
right.
was. But I don't think that he would like, I think he
Basically
realized, like, Lex
metamorphosed.
has no regard for human life, so why would he have any regard for alien life? So how is my son ever gonna be safe? And I feel like that was the
Right.
moment where he was like, "I'm just gonna risk it all because what do I have to lose?" He has a
So the
son,
guy who
but no.
actually played Metamorpho, otherwise known as Element Man, is Anthony Carrigan plays him in the film, and we know
Sounds
him.
familiar. Oh,
Yes, so he's a bald dude, right? He's white bald dude. He was in Barry. He's the bald creepy white guy from Barry. Did you watch that show?
I did not.
Ah, dang, he
Anthony
was in Gotham as Victor Zsasz. He was Bill and
Oh,
Ted.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
what
he was.
do I know him?
Yeah,
I think I know him from Gotham.
yes, he was in
Oh,
Gotham
that's
as Victor
funny because
Zsasz.
I
Yeah, yeah,
saw him in the, previews for the show or for the movie. I saw him in, like, the red carpet, and I was like, "Oh, this
yeah.
guy looks familiar. I don't know who he is." Oh,
That's
wow,
him.
kudos to him, dude, because he plays a creepy mother effer in, Gotham, and,
Yeah,
like,
and
in
I thought
this,
he was
he
great in
played,
this
like
movie too.
yes, he
He was
played
like a
such a you just wanted to
emotional.
hug him.
You did. Well, the guy, he was captured for one reason, and that was to turn kryptonite, and and that kind of stuff.
So, speaking of voices you may recognize, how hilarious is it that K2SO was Gary or
Gary,
Superman
yes,
robot number 4?
Yes. What do you mean? I would be nice to have a name, but what for isn't a name? Well, not like
It
Gary.
is an Umbrella
That was
Academy. Yeah,
funny.
that was funny.
Yeah, I liked that. And okay, so going into a lot of things that we liked, the quick catch up, we talked about that already, and it didn't start, how it started, but I really enjoyed also how small town his parents felt. They weren't played by big actors. They weren't pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They
Which I thought
were
was interesting at first because 'cause we're so used to these days seeing attractive
right.
parents.
They would have cast some big name actors,
Well, the
actresses.
one guy's from Identity. He's been in a lot of stuff, the dad.
Oh, I haven't seen him in anything, so to me, he's a
You
nobody.
haven't seen
Sorry, man.
Identity? You should go
He's
watch
in
Identity.
Superman, and I'm calling him a nobody, right? So,
Go watch
yeah.
Identity. It
Who
is a
am I to
phenomenal
talk?
movie.
I really liked his scenes with Clark. It was very heartfelt because you would have thought Martha Kent would have been the more emotional
'Cause we're used to
talker to
Jonathan being
Clark.
dead by now,
That's also true. Yes. And, speaking
at
of
least
which,
on the
another thing
screen,
that they
not in the
took from
comics.
is the fact that, first of all, I was not ready to see Bradley Cooper as Jor-El at all. That was not something that
I had to do
would
a
have ever
double
crossed my
take.
mind. I
Yeah.
s- looked at, I knew him, and I was looking, and then I go, wait Bradley Cooper, what?
Well, makes
And
sense. Rocket Raccoon,
yeah,
because it's
and it was
James
cool,
Gunn.
I guess.
I
And
think
so
Yondu was in this too. Wasn't Michael
he
Rooker
is.
was
He's another one of the
somebody?
robots. Yeah, Michael Rooker's another one of the robots. Yes, and in this iteration, of course, it's ripped from another comic where Superman's parents did send him to basically rule Earth, and now it's kind of open for interpretation whether or not Lex actually didn't doctor that. According to Mister Terrific, he didn't doctor that,
I don't think he
but
did.
I don't
I
think
loved
he did.
that.
There's an iteration in comics that he actually was sent there to do, that, and I thought that was a cool twist, right? Because that was his favorite thing to watch was his quote unquote real parents from Krypton while he's healing and stuff like that, and how soothing that was. But then at the end of the movie, it was his childhood memories of everything with Jonathan and Martha, and I thought that was
I
freaking
lost that
awesome.
was the moment where I definitely lost it, especially when, Jonathan had him doing Superman.
Yes,
Anybody who's ever had kids has 100% laid on their back and put their kid on their belly of their kid on their feet, had them put their hands out and yell, "Superman!" And so to
yeah,
see him do that with that kid, I don't know what it was, man, but in that moment, like, I lost it in that moment. That was incredibly, incredibly sweet. And it just goes to show, to quote Supernatural, what is it?
hey,
"Family don't
been a
end in
while, I feel.
blood," and it don't start there either.
I mean, but
So,
you're right. They were his parents, and I liked how
yeah.
they basically got rid of, Jor-El and them, and now we don't have to worry about the stupid
Well,
whatever that we're used to always seeing him go to the Fortress of Solitude and get advice from a robotic AI
right,
Jor-El.
and it was always good advice and helping him. So, yeah, we've never seen that as far as I know on the screen. We've never seen Jarell and Laura be bad guys, and they were
No,
bad guys in this. She even tells him, "Go take multiple wives and everything." But I think the scene with Jonathan in Smallville when he looks at Clark and he's like, "What you wanted that second half of that video to be makes me so proud of you." And that was, it
yeah,
proved that
that's his
it made
character.
Clark real because Clark had a moment where he thought like, "Am I evil because I came from evil?"
Yeah,
And, it was so sweet.
inherently am I evil,
It was
right? And
so
he's like,
correct.
no, man. And that also really ties into at the end of the speech, right? Or when him and Lex, they're in Lex Tower. There's a little machine that flies off, right? Their tower, whatever.
Very clever.
And you're not human, you're an alien. He goes, Lex, that's where you're wrong, dude. I have feelings. I love, I get angry. I put one foot forward every day like you do. We're the same, dude. I'm human. All that makes me human. I thought that was a really good moment, and it spoke to a broader audience, right? If we look at all of what's going on in the world right now, I think that was more of one of those, hey, we're all human, man. Like, I'm no different than you. You may think we are, but at the end of the day, I'm human,
I
just like you're
mess up
human. I
every
just
day. Yeah.
right, and I thought that was a really good moment. I like that speech. There was really a lot to take from that speech, and it was really, really good. And kind of as we start to break down the characters, I want to start with David Corensweat. How do you feel he did as Clark Kent and Superman?
So we only had, like, one scene with him as Clark Kent
I
because,
know. I kind of wish we had more.
I think we will get more, but I mean, like, we saw him not as Superman, but when he was with Lois, obviously that's not Clark Kent, that's Kal-El, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I did love that they didn't have him wearing his glasses or any of that BS, because sometimes when I see him doing it, like
All
in
right.
Superman and Lois, but I think he's used to doing it for the kids. I'm like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing this for?" Like,
Why are you wearing your glasses with your
Lois
family still?
knows. Right,
Like, who are
exactly.
you
If
fooling?
I
And
had
maybe it's for people to drop by. I don't know.
so then leave them by the front door.
You
Come
can
on.
hear if someone's coming to your house, first of all. You're
Yeah,
Superman, dude.
right,
I don't know what to
exactly.
tell you.
But I
But
did
you are
like the
right.
one scene that we did get. He was extra clumsy and whatnot, but I thought it was interesting they didn't question where Clark was when shit was going down, but then at the very end when they're like, "How long do you think that's been going on with Lois and Superman?" And Jimmy Olsen's like, "Oh, I think like 3 months." So he knew immediately when it was, but whether they never made it clear, like, did they know he's Superman or Clark is
Yeah,
Superman?
I don't think they do because obviously there's that scene where
But nobody's worried about
Lois was
Clark
giving
and the
him shit
world's
about
falling
the
apart?
article, right? They were, giving him shit about the article,
Yeah.
but Clark at the same time is a sports writer too, right? He had that one actually, well, he did interview
Oh, is
himself,
he?
which
I
I
thought it
thought
was
was
just the
hilarious
dude
in
from
that scene.
SNL.
Well, no, because I thought they were talking about sports writing, but then
But I
again,
thought
I
the
think
guy
I'm
from
wrong on that.
SNL was saying
I
like, "Well,
think
in sports
you're right,
writing,
because
we use more adverbs or whatever."
you're right, because Clark talked about interviewing himself, and Lois is like, "Oh, you think about questions to ask yourself." That sequence was amazing. Thought that was hilarious. Lois was, grilling him on that. And he was like, "What?" Sometimes, and I loved the way that David Corensweat made his voice lower when he was Clark versus,
He has a
higher.
very deep voice. Yeah.
Yeah, the way his voice inflections worked in this movie when he was Superman and when he wasn't was awesome. And
He's got
now
a
a
beautiful
big,
voice.
big piece of forgotten comic book lore here, talking about the glasses.
I
Hypno
love
glasses are
that.
mentioned.
That
Now,
was
Tom King,
amazing.
yes. So I love because that whole sequence is hilarious too. The hypno glasses, they make him, and then guys,
They're
oh,
like,
so
"You
he's
really
Clark Kent.
shouldn't know."
Yeah.
But
He's
he's just
like,
like, "Why does Clark tell everyone?"
what if I didn't know? And so Tom King is actually the one that reminded James Gunn about this forgotten piece. So Al Schroeder, who was a super fan of, wrote in
That's
back in
fun.
1978.
We've had him on Nerd Initiative.
Yes, actually, in 1978, he suggested that Superman used hyperhypnosis, which is a power that he had, and it was actually used in Action Comics 32 and 33. So Martin Pascoe and Curtis Swan went and did the Master Mesmerizer of Metropolis in Superman issue number 333, which hits stands the same month as Superman the film. Now, in this story, Kal-El fights the C-list Batman villain Spellbinder, who wore a terrible costume and used the powers of hypnosis. Throughout this story, Superman realized that his glasses were more than just glasses. He explains it because he had crafted the lenses of his glasses using a Kryptonian form of plexiglass from the rocket
Ah.
that brought him to Earth. It amplified his super hypnosis powers, which was another thing that he had and was like never really mentioned. It was again used in a couple of issues of Action Comics. Now, a Superboy story had already revealed that Clark made these glasses as a teenager. So with that, DC actually hoped by explaining this that the readers would stop bringing up the glasses once and for all. However, they pretty much never mentioned the hypno glasses ever again. So now we're back to where people were essentially, how is glasses, Clark? And as Guy Gardner points out, they're hypno glasses. It's such a deep freaking cut, man.
But it makes so much more
Ah,
sense too, because yeah, come on,
it
even the voice
does.
is still, especially in this day and age where we can like pinpoint, like I knew
They
that
were
was
up
Alan
close to,
Tudyk
yeah.
immediately. As soon as he started talking, I'm like, I know that voice. So it's like, why
And
wouldn't
AI
multiple other people do
recognition,
that?
facial recognition.
Which we saw with Lex
If you don't have
Luthor.
your
Clearly,
my
yeah,
phone will
and
open
Lex,
if my glasses aren't on.
oh really? Mine does both. You can
Yeah.
program it to do both. Once you get your LASIK, you'll have to do that. Like I did it with my glasses
Oh,
and without
yeah.
my glasses and with
Well,
sunglasses.
but still, like, you'd be able to tell, especially with how up close and personal people in Metropolis get to Superman,
Yeah.
in this movie, they would
And in
probably be
this
able
day
to
and
tell,
age
but
with all the social media and everything, it's like he made a comment, I think
oh
the
my
brand
god, that was hilarious.
was it, and
Super
I can't
shit
remember
or
if it was
whatever.
I think it was in a comic book I was reading where because you get to see their thoughts in the comics where he says, like, I always try to not show my face in these pictures and I didn't turn away quick enough. But it's like, it's impossible to do that these days. And you even saw that in the movie when he crashed everybody with the phones around him, except Malik, who was getting him up. But that was,
Yeah.
I think, the scene with Lex when he like focused on Malik and pulled up his facial recognition and did all that and found out immediately who he
He
was. I
found
was
him.
like,
Yeah.
I think it's scary that we are like getting to that and how he's like, well, now I'm going to take him even though he didn't do anything wrong and manipulate him
Help
to,
him.
the
Yeah.
scene we kicked off with a little bit. But
Well,
it
yeah.
was,
So let's go into Lex. Nicholas Hoult. What did you think about his portrayal? Because honestly, and this might be a hot take, I think he might be the best Lex Luthor I've seen on screen.
ooh, interesting.
I
Oh, that's so
liked
hard. I think he did a
his
great job.
his motives were there. I thought
Mhm.
the flop between anger. I loved when he was knocking the cups down. You know, he knocked that one last little
Yeah, he
coffee cup
knocked it
down
over
there, picking the
again.
pencils up. His hubris, his brain over brawn. I thought he was, smart as far as making the
The
um,
pocket universe.
pocket universes. Although
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific has a very different thought, which we're going to get to him. And I really liked it. And then the twist where he basically started that war because he wanted the government to let him kill Superman. He did that whole thing not because he wanted to take land, but because he wanted to kill Superman. And I thought that was so clever because initially you're thinking, oh, another land grab, Lex. But it turned out that wasn't the case.
Which was cute because I feel like that was a nod to the Christopher Reeve movies because that was my first thought because
Yeah.
one of them was even named like Lex. So I thought that was adorable. But can we talk about, you realize Batman had the same motivation in Batman vs Superman and Snyder's Batman vs Superman. So
He
just gonna
did.
okay.
Oh. Are you coming around to Batman versus
Oh
Superman?
God, no. No, I'm just saying how
Is this
silly
your
that is
awakening?
that Batman was a hero and he's trying to do what Lex Luthor's trying to do in this when he's a villain.
Well, Batman didn't go through with it and cause a multidimensional rift throughout the city of
Only because their
Metropolis.
moms are both named Martha. That's
Well,
literally the
maybe
only
Flex
reason.
had a mom named Martha. He clearly has
Lex
mom issues the way he
oh,
treated his
he
girlfriend. That's why
definitely
she was
has.
off with Jimmy Olsen.
So, kudos to okay, but I did like that too. They followed that with the Gene Hackman ones where, like, he had this pretty girlfriend that, in the end sided with Superman and was smarter than he gave her credit for.
And it was
So
also really dark too, by the way, how he was keeping people in that pocket dimension, whether they were political prisoners or ex-girlfriends. That was
mhm.
dark. And
His
he goes to some
ex-girlfriends
dark
know things
places,
about
man.
him that nobody else would. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine a higher up political leader paying off somebody he had slept with?
What? That would never
What?
happen,
I
right?
know shit. Okay,
They would
so
never kill political. No, they would
Michael
never.
Rosenbaum was a great Lex, but
Okay.
he was a Lex
Yeah.
that got years to flesh out his character, and I got attached to him and got to see a good side of him. So this we only saw evil Lex. So I will say movie-wise, I think he's my favorite Lex, yes, but I don't want to compare him to Michael
I
Rosenbaum.
can give you that just because I never grew up with Smallville like you did and watched it all.
I
So I
didn't
can
grow up. I
absolutely.
binged it 2 years
Well,
ago.
okay, to be fair, I meant more of like you've watched it all and I haven't. And so
Mhm.
you grew with that Lex because you got a lot of time with that Lex. I haven't, and I thought this Lex was very akin to a lot of the comic book iterations of Lex Luthor that we have seen. And so I really liked, I thought even the way he
You killed
talked,
it,
I
yeah.
loved the way he talked. It's little things like that. They're the way that they manipulate their voices and
Yeah.
articulate words and things like that was really good. I thought all the Lex goons were funny. And then the way he used, Ultraman. Now, I do want to mention Ultraman because he cloned very smart. He found a piece of Superman's hair, who he then used to clone. And then there's some key words here. He's a
Looking like
dumber version.
Skywalker.
So I know that, first of all, yeah, what a dad or daddy, I should say. He looked, uh,
He did. He looked like he was about to slaughter a room full of younglings.
well, so he gets sent into a black hole, but he doesn't die. And now everybody's like, it's a black hole. He's never getting out of that. Guys, do you think there's actually an alien Kryptonian flying around New York City right now? No. I really think this is going to come to pay off down the road in a whatever it may be. That's going to be Bizarro. I think that's going to pay off. I think that's Bizarro. He's got sucked into the black hole, and I think he's going to find Bizarro world, and become a Bizarro Superman. I really think so because they talked about how dumb he was. He's very strong. He never really talked. He was a clone of Superman. I think that's Bizarro.
Hmm.
That's just my kind of theory. But I
I
liked
look
how that was the bad
forward
guy.
to when you meet Bizarro and Superman and Lois.
Ooh, can't wait. Yes. Speaking of Superman and Lois, let's talk about Jamie Olsen real quick because I liked just real quick. I thought he was excellent. Skylar,
He
gosh, I
deserved
cannot.
more screen time. I will say
Gizondo,
that. Yeah.
he did deserve more screen time, but what he did with it was awesome. For
Hmm.
example, he was so annoyed by Lex's girlfriend, but then Lois is like, dude, how do you do it, man? She's hot. And then it's like he clicked in his brain is hot. And she was so clingy
But
and
then
you
Lois
can see
called her
that.
a genius. She's like, your girlfriend's a genius.
Yeah,
And
your
I
hot
think he
girlfriend's a
really just
genius,
thought she was
whatever.
an
And
idiot. Yeah.
oh, because it turns out that in the pictures was everything behind her, and that was clever as well. And I know I've seen some rhetoric online from people who've seen it's, oh, they've used his girlfriend to find Lex. And I was, well, it makes sense. She was taking a lot of pictures nonstop, and you thought she was just some arm candy. But it turns out,
Underestimate, yeah, a pretty girl, man.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I liked him. You're right. Not enough screen time with him. I liked him. And then Perry White, who I cannot remember the actor's name, and looking on IMDb, obviously the movie's not out yet, so we don't
Looks
have the cast
familiar.
list yet. He's definitely familiar. Oh yeah. I loved that
Mhm.
Perry White. I love he had the cigar. They went up to the Mr. Terrific thing. That was sick. Speaking of Mr. Terrific, all right, Eddie Gathegi, he gets redemption because you'll remember him from the X-Men First Class film where he
Darwin.
dies. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Mr.
Darwin
Terrific.
and Beast. Like, kudos again to Nicholas Hoult because I'm so used to
Yeah.
him as Beast being a good guy. But yeah.
So Mr. Terrific was probably my favorite non-Superman character. I thought he was awesome. He had that blend of dry humor, but he's also a combat expert with mad genius. I loved how annoyed and bothered he was by everything. And I love that he helped out Lois. I loved his T spheres, and how he was so mad at Crypto for biting down the T spheres. And then he was a badass when he was fighting off all of the Lex goons out there at the camp. And I loved Mr. Terrific. So I would watch the hell out of a Mr. Terrific film or show, whatever it may be. I love Mr. Terrific. What did you think about the Justice Gang and Mr. Terrific? Because Guy Gardner was hilarious, and Nathan Fillion, and then Isabel Mercad, who plays Hawk Girl. I thought she was great too. I'm not
So
Superman.
real quick, Perry White was Wendell Pierce. He was in Thunderbolts as
That's
Congressman
right.
Perry. Yeah.
Duh. Oh,
So we
Wendell Pierce is
just
in a
saw
lot of stuff.
him.
Oh, duh.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Chicago PD, Suits, I think The Wire. I think I saw that on here.
Yeah,
Archer. He's in a bunch of stuff. But if he looked familiar in something recent, yeah, it was Thunderbolts.
that's why. Yeah, that's
Um,
right. Yes.
so the only Mr. Terrific I was familiar with was Curtis from
Arrowverse. Yeah.
CW, and I didn't realize how underplayed he was in Arrowverse because they just
Yeah.
showcase his intelligence, and then when he gets out into the field, he kind of just still seems like a newbie. Granted, I
He's a
haven't watched
martial
this in
arts
years.
expert.
Yeah, he was, but I still feel like they kind of made him like a second class superhero in that. Whereas in this, they really showcased how amazing his intelligence is and what all he can do with it and all of that. So I very much so enjoyed that. And I
Can't
also
build
love
a
that
nice garage door though.
he hasn't had the time.
You built all this and you couldn't get a garage that opens faster.
I
That was
whispered to
good.
Tabby during that. I'm like, this is like Deadpool with the Zamboni. Like it's
Yeah.
just taking forever.
That
But
was
no,
good.
I really did enjoy his stuff, and I love that he came back and he was one that reached out to Lois, and they instantly and, like, the way he protected Lois in that bubble, I thought that was
Yeah.
such a cool scene, especially because I feel like it really she's obviously used to throwing herself into danger, but she got thrown
She's
into
very
this
much in the
scene.
danger in this as well. Like she puts herself
Yeah,
out there on a really, really like Lois Lane would.
yeah, but just seeing her in that scene, like, looking around, like, you just see the shock and awe on her face, and I feel like it was a pivotal moment
Yeah.
of realizing, like, this is what dating Superman is like. But no, I really liked his character, and I do like the one in CW. So don't get me wrong. I just feel like they kind of made him not as strong as the character as they should have, or that he had the potential to be in the show.
Right. I do agree. I do agree. I do. It was just amazing. Oh, man.
Hawk Girl, you really didn't see much. I thought we'd see
No,
more of
but
her.
I thought she was still badass, and she kind of had like that attitude. I like Isabel
She's
Mercad a lot.
young, yeah.
She was young, and I love that she was against the
Alright.
Justice Gang, um, which is sick. That was great, and
Then Lois
Uh,
calls out Guy Gardner's hair, which was fantastic.
yes. I do love that Lois called out Guy Gardner's hair because they do bring point to. He's like, "What'd you say? What did you say?" That was amazing. And 328 women happened to agree or whatever he said. That was
Yeah,
great.
what was funny is right before the movie started, when we sat down, like the people next to us were talking about that. They're like, "Yeah, his hair is comic accurate, and all these people are complaining about it." And I jumped right into the
Oh, I
conversation.
would have too. Like that was amazing. Of course it is. That's the best part, man. It
Yeah,
was so good. And I do love the Justice Gang. I never thought we would get a Hall of Justice in a movie this soon. So
I love that they were
seeing
still working on it, like with the
they
crane.
yes, and so
Like it
seeing
made
the
it
Hall of
so
Justice,
realistic.
I I got goosebumps. I was so excited to see a Hall of Justice. Do you think they're going to do Justice Society of America or build to a Justice League? Because there were some
Ooh,
Easter eggs in here that I'll talk about in a second. Because we did see a Gotham City sign. There was on the highway when they're panning to the evacuations. There was a
right.
sign for Gotham City, and so I'm wondering, like, are we? Because they're working on a Wonder Woman movie.
Mhm.
Supergirl is finished
Obviously,
filming,
yeah.
and then obviously we got
Peacemaker.
Metamorpho, Superman, Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner right now. So I'm
I
wondering
feel
if
like
it's going to be a JSA or what the thing is.
I feel like they'll do JSA just because we've seen Justice League with Zack Snyder. We did see JSA in Stargirl.
We did see a JSA in Stargirl, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, and I feel like that show is very underrated. And
It really was. I
and I
will
would
firmly agree with that.
even if they pulled some of those characters out, or I mean, dude, bring Luke Wilson back. That would be cool. Um well, and Stargirl was so young. You could bring like a grown-up Stargirl to
Good.
the situation. She was Star Woman.
I mean, yeah, I like the team that they started with. I think it'd be cool to see a JSA or how they evolved. I'm excited to see how they evolve. I think the most.
Yes. I will say
That's
when this movie was like ending, I'm like, I absolutely 100% need more of this Superman. I need more of this world. Like
I
I
needed
was
more of everybody.
because
This
Creature
world is awesome.
Commandos was just like
I
so hit or
didn't
miss.
I didn't like Creature Commandos, and I don't know
I
why.
liked it, but I
It just
hated it at the same time. Does
which
that make
actually
any
okay, so
sense?
good point here. This makes me think. So remember the end where Rick Flag is talking with the other guy, and the other guy's, metahumans run the world now, and Rick
Dude, you
Flag
cannot
kind of zoom
cast
in
a
on him.
Hydra agent to play Rick Flag and expect us to trust him at all.
Do you think he's going to be bringing in this universe's Suicide Squad on account that we did get a surprise Peacemaker, and so Peacemaker cameo on the TV, awesome.
But
And then they
what's
said this
Peacemaker?
movie ties into Peacemaker season 2.
But I don't think this is the Peacemaker we know.
I think it
I
is because the pocket dimensions.
ugh, I was thinking
I
multiversal
think the pocket
Peacemaker.
dimensions are how our Peacemaker comes from that world to here because this is going to be our Peacemaker that we know in season 2.
But we're forgetting this
Look,
Barry Allen and Aquaman, right? Like, it's not Jason Momoa or
oh
Ezra,
yeah, no. Jason
okay,
Momoa is cast as Lobo. Like they
right.
announced that. So yeah, no,
So for a
that
second
Peacemaker
in
I think is
my
coming.
but see, like, Superman at the end of Peacemaker was just a silhouette. So in my head, I thought maybe they did it intentionally, so it was David Corensweat.
Nope.
But if we're recasting everybody else, I feel like maybe it's a different Peacemaker.
They
I don't know.
said
I
Peacemaker
don't know.
season 2 is our Peacemaker.
Is this Rick Flag Jr. or senior?
It's senior.
Okay, so it is it the one from Creature Commandos?
Yeah.
Okay. But I liked him in Creature Commandos, and I didn't like him in this, and I feel like it's because they casted a Hydra agent.
It's the same voice actor in Creature Commandos.
Is it
They're having
really?
continuity. Yeah, they're doing continuity. People
But
that
they
are
made him,
cast as
like,
voice actors.
blonde in the cartoon.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
that was a
gray.
whole thing. Nobody really got explained, but that's a whole that is so essentially in they cast people certain ways so that way they can cross into the
Ugh.
main in cartoons.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that, and I'm gonna have to wait to see how that
Yeah,
goes. I
totally
would
fair.
assume he would bring in the Suicide Squad, but I just that actor is gonna they he looks
It's Frank
exactly the
Grillo. I
same
love
as
Frank Grillo. He's Crossbones.
right, exactly, but he looks exactly the same as he did in Winter Soldier. So, like, I'm getting the same vibes from him.
That's
I
how he
don't
always
get
looks. Okay, I don't know.
but Beast looked like Lex Luthor. Like,
Look,
these other
I don't
characters,
know,
Darwin
man.
looked like
Okay,
Mr. Terrific, like, Mrs. Maisel looked like Lois Lane.
and she
He
was
looked
amazing. We didn't talk
like
enough about her either. She was amazing.
He looked like he was about to whisper Hail Hydra into Lex's ear. Like, I
Maybe
couldn't
he is. I don't
separate it.
know.
There you go.
All
That's
right.
my one
All
main
right.
complaint.
There you
That
go. You found your
Crossbones
complaint.
is Rick Flag's
So
Jr.
then
I really liked Rick Flag Jr. too. I wish they hadn't killed
I
him.
wish they hadn't either. I would love to have seen him back. Now, so we get that surprise cameo at the end, Supergirl cameo. How did you?
Adorable.
I liked that. It actually gave me hope for her Supergirl film. I liked Millie Aycock, however you say her last name. I'm not very good at pronunciation there.
I don't know, House of the Dragon.
I only knew her in House of Dragon. That was like her first big thing, and now she's
But she
Supergirl. I
killed it in that.
loved,
Phenomenal.
dude. We get to see her in the Supergirl outfit, which is awesome, and then her in Crypto,
Drunk.
and yes, she goes to planets with red suns because she can drink and she likes to party. I thought that was funny. So he's fostering
So
Crypto, and we
different
got to see her.
than Melissa Bonet or whatever you say. No, she did a great
Annoying,
Supergirl, don't
yeah.
get me wrong. But I think it's very fun to get a red
Party
sun
Supergirl,
Supergirl.
man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I thought it was
I'm
awesome.
here
That
for it.
made me really excited. I didn't expect her. I had a feeling, and I was hoping because obviously her movie's going to be coming out, and so I was hoping they tied her in, and they did. And I'm so pumped for a Supergirl film now. Can't wait. But all in all,
And
this
it makes
movie
Crypto
is
make sense.
yes, it
Like when
really
he
did.
was
This
saying,
movie,
"Where's the dog?" I'm like, "Why aren't you saying my dog?"
yeah, because he was fostering. Well, he even mentioned it was more of a
Now
foster
he
situation.
did, but I was confused. I was like, "What do you mean? This is your dog. Why aren't you saying my dog?
Nope,
Where's my
it
dog?" You're
wasn't.
saying, "Where's
It
the
wasn't.
dog?" But then it made sense.
I, dude, I need to. I'm gonna watch this movie again because there's so much I want to see. Oh, Jitters. They mentioned Jitters, which is the coffee shop from Flash. So there's another
And
Easter egg
Big
for you.
Belly Burger
Yep,
had
they
an
they
ad
had some
too.
Easter eggs. I'm
I
gonna
love
have
that
an Easter egg
the
article out. I think.
DC businesses are exactly what they are. Like, you're gonna get jitters
Yeah,
if you drink too much coffee. You're gonna get a big
yeah.
belly if you eat burgers.
I do enjoy that. And
Yeah.
then continuity wise, that's like the one thing that's constant throughout these universes is the names of their fast food and coffee
Yeah.
shops. It
We
doesn't
got
change.
Sean
So
Gunn as Maxwell Lord. I thought that was a cute little
we
thing.
did, and he's the one that kind of did the Justice Gang as well, which I thought was awesome. So, what would you give this movie then? What is your rating for this film?
Holy shnikes. I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10.
That's okay. That's what I gave it as well. Just I don't know why I felt if I gave it a 10, I'd be a homer. And
Nothing's perfect.
I yeah, I guess. I think my only complaint is this movie ended. I'm really it ended, and I could
Fair
have sat there
complaint.
for another 2 more hours. I guess it was good. You got
Oh,
my
and then
wife and kids that were involved. Like they were super sold on it. I need to see it again. Yeah, 9.5 out of 10 for me. That's what we got here.
I feel
It's
like we
my
should
favorite
look
movie of
at
the
it,
year so
yeah.
far. I will say that it has beat Sinners for my favorite movie of the year so far. Very different films. I want you to see Sinners because I would be very interested. I need you
Oh,
to.
Josh and I are gonna watch it. Yeah, it's on HBO Max. We're gonna watch it this
Yep,
week.
we're going to talk about it. So, with that said, let us know your thoughts on Superman. That concludes it. We're going to transition to Fantastic Four starting next week and get ready for that film because we're going to be rolling to that film too, man. We're blessed as nerds and moviegoers right now for the month of July. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, social media platform. That's where you can find us. Patreon.com/Hops Geek News is where you can support the show. Let us know your thoughts about Superman. And until next time, we'll see you later. Cheers.